Are the Pacers in must-win territory now that we're at Game 3? And if so, is it time to try a new strategy to slow down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? If Giannis stays in Milwaukee, should the Bucks mortgage every part of their future to get him back to a finals? And with Tibbs out of New York, who's the next coach who should be worried about getting a post-conference finals pink slip? That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
It sounds more and more like this silly season, that this offseason is going to be just insane, just absolutely bonkers, guano insane. I hope that everyone is ready for it. This is not going to be like, oh, like a fun finals, and then like we'll do like a light free agent. No. Lots of avalanches, I think, are coming.
Well, we will be here to cover it all, and our local podcast host will be on the beat as well. And listen, this finals, this postseason will be a tough act to follow, but I believe in the silly season. I believe in the off season. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've also got Haize. Haize, how you doing?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. I am the one team that doesn't have to worry about my team making a significant trade this offseason. It's not going to happen.
Want to bet?
All right. Oh, little wager. I like a little wager to start the show.
Now, see, Matt has insider information. I'm not betting Matt.
Yeah, but not good insider information. That's the key. You got to take advantage of it.
Okay, well, we will talk about the offseason coming up in just a bit, but I want to put our focus on the finals. They're tied 1-1 right now. It's still anybody's series heading to Indianapolis. Locked On Thunder and Locked On Pacers. They have a crossover episode out today all about the adjustments that each team should make, could make, might make. And for all the talk of offensive aggressiveness or lack thereof from Haliburton and Siakam, Tony East and Rylan Stiles focused on what the Pacers should do defensively.
Where can the adjustments come? This is where you make the big bucks, get on the clipboard, figure something out, because it's been tougher for them to kind of be themselves in the series than any other series, even though it's 1-1. Like what I'm saying sounds worse than it is. I just think they need to be solution finding in a big way right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's going to be like the storyline heading into the series of Mark versus Rick. Like Rick has an opportunity here in Game 3 to do something a little bit unorthodox, which is what he's known for. What he's been built on is by being unorthodox and just throwing something wild at Shai and making Shai play, again, not passively, but do what they're doing to Haliburton. If you can just put Shai in a crowd, he's going to trust his teammates regardless of the outcome of those shots from his teammates, to where that helps you stack possessions where the best player on the floor is not taking the shot to try to put points on the board, and that's ultimately a win for Indiana.
Matt, have the Pacers done too little so far in this series to slow Shai down? Is that the adjustment you think the Pacers should make and you would make if you were in charge of the Pacers Game 3 strategy session?
I think that they've been okay on Shai. 8 assists Game 2, 3 assists Game 1. That's the difference. Bake in the points. Okay, he's going to take enough shots. He's going to make enough shots. If you throw a double at him, now you're in backside rotation against a bunch of Thunder guys that are always geared to create high quality looks, whether it's lobs or quick kickouts or open threes. I don't think you want that. I think you live with Shai is hyper efficient in the mid range, but a mid range shot is still inherently less efficient than an open corner three or a dunk. So the key has to be repeat kind of like what you looked at in Game 1, sharpen up, be a little bit better, counter the adjustments they made in Game 2 where they got him off ball a little bit, be ready to resequence back into those actions. And I think you're really okay. 117 offensive rating for OKC in this series, given where this series started and like it being an OKC and the result of game 2, that's honestly fine. For me, Haize, the bigger issue for Indiana is their 109 offensive rating. That's what they got to get up.
Yeah, I think we talked about it coming into the series, like letting Shai almost go off, like not letting him, but letting Shai do his thing. We're trying to stop everything around Shai was the game plan. And for what it's worth, they've done a solid enough job at that. They just, like you said, they have to be better offensively. They have to limit their turnovers. So I don't think that the job that they've done on Shai is the biggest reason why. And that's another thing. We keep talking about this team like they're down 0-2. It's 1-1. They did what they were supposed to do. So, you know, going into Indiana, I think they'll be fine. They just have to tighten up some things. But I think the Pacers have done a pretty okay job of what they have been trying to execute here so far.
Doug, that's a great point by Haize, right? Why is everyone kind of reacting so much to game 2 and like, oh man, the Pacers are up against it, when it's like, I found this stat interesting because I didn't realize it. They outscored them in the second half. If you take out the garbage time last 2 minutes, it's 59-59 second half. And in the second half, 137 offensive rating for the Indiana Pacers before that 2-minute mark. Like, there's a lot of things about, basically this was a horrible second quarter for the Pacers. And then in the second half, it shifted a lot towards Indiana. Why does everyone kind of talking about how this thing feels like, well, the Pacers are just really up against it, headed home 1-1?
Well, maybe it's attention spans, right? And the fact that Oklahoma City has been able to control the first half of both of these games. Maybe people are just tuning out and not paying as much attention to the second half. At least in game 1, they started paying attention in the last couple of minutes. And even Tyrese Haliburton after game 2 says, I've got to be better in the first half. So maybe it is those first half adjustments that are going to be most important in game 3. We've seen Tyrese Haliburton games. We've seen Shai games. We've seen Aaron Nesmith games in these playoffs. We've seen Alex Caruso games in this postseason. Whose game will we be talking about on Thursday if the Pacers or the Thunder win? That's the question. Haize, if the Pacers get a blank game, the Pacers will win game 3.
If they get a 25-plus performance from Tyrese Haliburton, they win game 3. That's
that important.
I think so. Like Tyrese Haliburton, I think it, like when he does score well, he's not a big time scorer. He's not the guy that's gonna. That's why I didn't say like put up 30. He's not that, but I do think when Tyrese Haliburton has himself a 25 to 28 point game, because I do trust Pascal is going to be able to play his role, the role players. I think that's that important for that team. So especially if it happens early, I think you got to get Tyrese Haliburton involved early in this game. I think that if the Pacers can have a 5 to 8 point lead in the first half, it drastically increases their chances to win the game more than I would say the Thunder having an 8 point lead, because the Pacers, I think, will just execute better down that stretch of the game as it gets closer.
Matt.
Pascal Siakam, when he scores more than 20 points this postseason, the Pacers are 7-1. It's that simple. Get Siakam going, get him downhill, run him off of screens, run inverted pick and rolls, get him downhill. This Thunder team is long. They're athletic. They're menacing, but they're not super athletic and physical on Siakam's level. They're athletic, but not as physical as he is. Get him downhill, get him in range, get a good game from Siakam. You do that, Pacers win.
I tend to agree with Matt. I've been on this for a couple of games now. I think they've got to get a big Siakam game. And if you don't, then you better hope that you can get another Obi Toppin 5 3-pointers game or someone off that bench, Nesmith. He hasn't been a giant factor yet. So, like, you've got to one of those things has to happen for the Pacers. All right, let's swap it to the Thunder. Matt, if the Thunder get a blank game, the Thunder will win game 3.
Lou Dort.
Little Dort game.
In the playoffs on the road, Dort is shooting 19.4%, 7 of 36 from 3 on the road.
Yikes.
If he is able to knock down shots, then OKC is going to keep up offensively. Indiana's not going to put up like a 120 offensive rating here. Like, they're not going to put up like a dominant offensive performance. Probably. I don't want to count anything out with this Pacers team, but if the Thunder can get their offense to knock down these open looks, that lets them set their half-court defense, and they're too tough to score on. That boost is too much. If Dort has a good game, if he knocks down 3 threes, if he shoots efficiently on the road, they're going to win.
All right, Dort, excellent in game 1. Haize, what do you think? If the Thunder have a blank game, the Thunder will win game 3.
good Caruso shooting game. If he makes at least 3-pointers, I think that they win this game. Because if you get Alex Caruso shooting the ball well, we already know what he's going to bring defensively. To me, that says that there's some rhythm out there. If you get a big shooting night from Alex Caruso where he's shooting effectively from 3, I think that gives the Thunder a great chance to win that game.
And helps our 500-1 bet on Alex Caruso Finals MVP.
We're trying to become millionaires here. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I sniffed that out immediately. I knew Haize was just going off his own pick there. Yes, he had a great game in game 2, 20 points. So let's see if he can repeat it in game 3. Very quickly, Danny Cunningham said on Sunday's episode of Game Night that the Pacers need to be back in Oklahoma City with a 3-1 lead to have any shot at a title, meaning game 3, essentially a must win for the Indiana Pacers. Matt, do you view it that way?
No, you got to be able to get to game 6. If you get to game 6, you can win game 6 at home, force game 7. Clutch situation. Pacers can steal that game 7 on the road. Like, they probably won't, but they can. But they got to get one of these two in Indy to be alive. I do think that like, obviously 3-1 changes the whole dynamic of the series, but I don't think they have to be 3-1.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I don't think it has to be 3-1, but of course, if they can go in back to OKC up 3-1, then that they have to be the favorites at that point in time with the way that I still give them the coaching advantage. So I don't think they have to, but it would be great to see.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, we're going to talk about this upcoming offseason that Matt Moore says will be absolutely insane. Will it involve a Giannis Antetokounmpo move to another team, or is he going to stay in Milwaukee? And if he does, should the Bucks really mortgage everything to make sure they can get Giannis to the NBA Finals? That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, it is playoff season, it's finals season, and DoorDash is turning big-time buckets into big-time bites with Dash Pass. You can cash in when the stars show out. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members are going to score a free 3-piece Crispy Tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place a $20 or more order and use code WINGSTOP50 and you are eating good. Offer valid from noon to midnight next day. Terms apply. Ever looked at your delivery fees and thought, there's got to be a better way? With Dash Pass, you get $0 delivery fees and exclusive perks like this one right here. How much do you think you would save over the course of a season with $0 delivery fees? So here's the play. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece Crispy Tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 or more order and using code WINGSTOP50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We are one of the most listened to podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, and now we're on a mission to become the most watched show on the network. Come look at our beautiful faces. And if you've been listening for a long time, please support the show with a sub on YouTube. There is a growing sentiment that Giannis Antetokounmpo is more likely to stay in Milwaukee than not, which has Locked On Bucks debating just how much future they'd like to mortgage for another freaky season.
I just don't see any scenario where I'm entertaining trading that 2031 pick. What about you guys?
I wouldn't say no scenario, because sometimes guys come available. You didn't expect them to come available, and that type of pick could be interesting.
So
but
if Bradley Beal waves his no trade, you're using that for him?
We're not speaking that evil, Ricky Bobby. We ain't going to do that here. For me, the 2031 draft pick, like I've seen the Utah Jazz trade come up. David Lott from Locked On Jazz has mentioned it. We've seen it in the comments. That draft pick is not a salary dump pick. That's a pick you use to acquire some type of talent that you believe could, at least have like an all-star potential going forward. So like, I wouldn't say it's completely off the table. I do get the Bucks fans who are also like, yo, we literally have nothing. Like, why are we going to entertain putting this on the table as well? Like, we're really going to be draft poor if we continue to go this route. But again, if Giannis stays, your window is open for only so long.
I love the idea that it's a 2031 pick. That seems so far away. Like, I feel like there should be some odds on, do we land on Mars? Do we land a human on Mars, or do the Bucks have a first round pick? We'll see. if Giannis does commit to staying, should the Bucks cast everything overboard? 2031 pick, conference room tables, Kyle Kuzma, whatever it takes to compete in the Giannis window, Haize.
I mean, it's a two-mind thing, right? Because you like to say, yeah, you put everything on the table so you can put things around Giannis. But the way that I look at it, maybe this is more cynical from me, is that the trade talk around a player rarely ever get completely quiet. So while you may hold on to him now, who's to say that in a year from now, 2 years from now, that you're not right back in the same situation where Giannis, especially if you guys haven't won. I get it that everybody's looking at it like next year the East is wide open because of the Boston Celtics and the injuries that are going on there and whatnot. But you got to be very smart about what you do here, because if the Milwaukee Bucks go too far in and trade these picks that theoretically are going to be gone off the table in 5-6 years, but in a year and a half, 2 years, Giannis says, no, I changed my mind. I do want to get out of here. What do you have then? So I'd be willing to give up a lot to continue to build around Giannis, but only to a certain degree. And the 2031 pick is probably where I'd be willing to put that in. Anything beyond that, though, as we keep going, I may be a little hesitant about it.
Shameless plug alert. On my Substack last week, I wrote an article that discussed why the NBA needs to abolish the Stepien rule and allow these teams to be able to trade back-to-back years until the end of the CBA, because we've got teams like Denver and Milwaukee that built their contending teams based off of the old CBA and now can't feasibly build on them because of the changes that were made after they made those decisions. As far as what the Bucks should do now, I think you could. I think we need to reframe it. Okay, it's not about like, should we trade the 2031 to try and get another superstar? No, stop it. Stop trying to get another superstar. You're not going to get a good enough one. What you need to do is you need to take the existing contract, sign and trade Brook Lopez, work on as much as possible getting a sign and trade done for Brook Lopez. That helps both teams under the current CBA. You're not trying to get great return back. You're just trying to get assets. Then you take Kyle Kuzma and you find somebody who's willing to park that contract salary, and for that player, take a chance on him, get multiple contracts back. Your objective needs to be to try and identify low value players with upside, younger guys that the team is like, we're not really like, he's fine, but like we're not really enthused with how this has gone. Take those guys on, try and build that value up, and then send them back out again. You're going to have to moneyball this. That's the only real way you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to take back an aggregate that is lower than the market value of the player. But if you do that, you still might wind up, if everything comes together and the chemistry's right, you might come out with a better season than you're expecting, and the trade value will be better, so you can build on it. That to me is a better approach here than worrying about the 2031. Keep that one particular item of powder as dry as possible.
So you have Windhorse on ESPN saying, Brian Windhorse essentially saying there's no trade market. The Bucks aren't looking for one. Giannis has not asked for a trade. But it's all been in this weird, vague territory of like, no one's willing to say like, for sure, Giannis is going to be a Buck next season. We're not doing anything. Do they need to get that kind of clarity? Do they need to have this thing sewed up before the draft? Or are the Bucks in danger of, being flat-footed after the draft, not having as many options to make moves, Matt?
I don't know. I'm not sure why we haven't had a clear report yet. Like, everyone I've spoken to around the league is like, yeah, no, Giannis is staying. Like, he's good, doesn't want to leave. I've also heard, though, that ownership has made it imperative for them to cut costs. And I don't know how this squares. If they go through this offseason, does Giannis change his mind? Is that what's happening? Is Giannis is like, I'm staying? We'll see. And like, as long as everything, like, let's see where we get to in July, because then you're in a bad spot. Then it's like the worst of all worlds. It would help them from that perspective, but I don't know that it helps Giannis. Maybe they would actually, I think honestly, this is probably good for them because it makes them operate with a sense of urgency that these teams sometimes struggle with. Like, you're going to have to, if you really are like, well, we want to contend around you, this is our window, you're going to have to take some risks. I just said don't try and trade the 2031, but like, that's the reality here is if you want to contend around Giannis, given the CBA and your situation, you are going to have to take risks, which I think is probably what Giannis wants. I'm very curious to see how this plays out, Haize.
Yeah, it can go a lot of different ways. I love what you said as far as like leveraging signing trades for an ability to get something back, and that way it works out for both teams. That's maybe what you have to do in a case like that. But Giannis holds all the power here, and regardless if you have his buy-in now, that doesn't guarantee a buy-in 6 months down the road. It doesn't guarantee a buy-in around February, around the trade deadline, where he says, "Listen, I gave you guys an offseason, you didn't do anything. Now I want to get out of here." So they have to be playing this really close, man. And that's why, like, when it gets to this point, you either become a contender or you have to start preparing for life without Giannis, whether he's asked for it or not. In my opinion, you have to make that decision. I think you got 12 months, if you even have that long to make this decision.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, the Bucks not the only team in the Eastern Conference with a star in hand and a difficult decision to make. The Cavaliers getting some bad news on their two-time All-Star Darius Garland. We'll have that. Plus, with Tibbs out in New York, who is the next coach that should be worried about their job? Is it Nick Nurse in Philadelphia? We'll hear from Locked On 76ers on that coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's very easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over your finances. We don't have control over a lot of things in this world. It would be nice to have control over our finances, and Monarch Money helps you do that. It isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center with all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. You can go beyond just managing your money and start actually building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on streaming services. Spoiler alert, it was a lot. And now I budget smarter, I save more. The best part is I don't have to use multiple apps. I just use Monarch to check my finances, track my spending, and plan out all of my long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every single day. News broke while we taped yesterday that Cavs guard Darius Garland had surgery on an injured toe that will keep him out 4 to 5 months, meaning he's almost sure to miss the start of the regular season. Let's check in with Locked On Cavs host Danny Cunningham, who says this setback should come with a reset on expectations for the two-time All-Star.
Darius Garland is now not going to have a healthy offseason. He's not going to have an offseason where he can focus on basketball. His offseason is going to be spent focusing on getting better from this great toe injury. And that is the unfortunate truth. So I don't think the expectations for Darius Garland next year should not include an all-star team, should not include being named an all-NBA player. The goal for him during the regular season should mostly be make sure he is healthy and playing his best basketball in March and April and May and June.
So there were talks that the Cavs were open to trading Garland. Are they stuck with him now, Matt? And if so, if it means you get a healthy Darius Garland in the postseason, could that be a blessing in disguise for them?
Yeah, I don't think it's stuck with is the right terminology, right? Like all-star level player. I think they were never going to trade him for nothing. They were exploring the idea of what they could do, because part of it is they're set to lose guys like Sam Merrill and Ty Jerome, and they may lose other guys, and that's going to be difficult for them to be able to have the kind of depth that they did this season, which we're seeing depth be really valuable in the playoffs in the recent years. I think it's probably a good thing overall because what you don't want to send him, let's say hypothetically Orlando, like I mentioned. If you send him to Orlando and then he has a great postseason run with Orlando, now you're the team that traded this guy. You could have really needed him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I still kind of think that you can get by with Donovan Mitchell and shooters with a big, but I do think that there's other ways to kind of reshape this roster and then get a sense of give Garland one healthy, experienced run in the postseason for you to evaluate. And then you can make a better decision rather than trying to make a decision on trading him when you still don't have a clear answer of whether he'd be good in the postseason or not, Haize.
Yeah, and that was kind of my mindset when we talked about it yesterday. Is just wait, give it another season, wait till the summer of 2026 either way. But now, use that ramp up to make sure he's healthy, like you said, in June. And then let's hope that you get a really good postseason run from him. And not only him, but the team overall. There were a lot of injuries. It wasn't just Darius Garland on that team that you were dealing with. And then you have a better evaluation of where your team really sits at. And then hopefully, too, you're not trying to trade him at that point in time or remove him while he's coming off a major injury and he has a healthy postseason. So either way, I think this benefits the Cleveland Cavaliers to just wait this out. It sucks that he's going to have to be out 4 to 5 months and whatnot, but I think that it could end up being a better for you in the long run, whether he is part of your long-term future or you decide to move him. I think both those things. And why try to move an injured player while there's going to be a lot of movement anyway this offseason, whereas if you decide to move him next year in the offseason after a really good playoff run, probably going to get more back.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing that I was thinking, which is that even if you make the finals, great. If you miss the finals, but you get a great Darius Garland playoff performance, then that's just going to increase his trade value, not decrease it. Like this injury, I mean, he's not untradeable, but it certainly will depress whatever value the Cavs were hoping to get back. Does the injury put pressure, do you think, Haize, on the Cavs to bring back Ty Jerome and just burst through that second apron? Say, forget it, forget cost cutting. Now we've got this Darius Garland injury to figure out. We just got to go and bring back Ty Jerome and make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option. I think there's some other low-cost options that aren't as good as Ty Jerome, but that could fill in at point guard if Garland is not going to be there healthy at the start of the season. You got both Jones brothers, so I think are really good point guards that can fill in, that could probably be more low-cost, but I'd probably try to keep everything the same, bring back Ty Jerome if you can.
That will not happen. Like they're not. It won't happen. Like it's not. They're currently on pace for $97 million in tax. Does that sound like a? I don't think that sounds like a Dan Gilbert thing.
It sounds like they're going to need Monarch Money if that's the case.
There you go.
Plug, Doug. Jared Allen getting moved, I think, is probably the most likely outcome now. I think that Garland's injury makes it more likely that Jared Allen gets moved. Dean Wade has a $6 million expiring with $4 million guaranteed. Isaac Okoro is on an expiring or 2 years left at about $22 million. They're going to make if they keep Jerome, it's because they've cost cut in other areas.
And look, the double big stuff, I mean, we've made a lot of that over the course of this season, but it seems like teams are abandoning it or not having, the Knicks couldn't find success with it in the Eastern Conference Finals, and now the Oklahoma City Thunder abandoning that idea a little bit as well. So, all right, we'll keep an eye on this. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. It's hard out there right now for an NBA head coach. Tom Thibodeau gets the New York Knicks to a conference finals, and he gets the heave-ho. Which coach will run out of time next? Could it be Nick Nurse in Philadelphia? That was the topic of conversation on a recent episode of Locked On 76ers with beat writer Keith Pompey. Let's take a listen.
Nurse, you have to give him a chance to see what he can do. But I will tell you this, though. Coaches nowadays, this is a tough job. Because, I mean, you look at this guy, he's probably been the best coach the Knicks had in probably 20 years, right? And he gets axed. Mike Malone leads Denver to a championship. 2 years later, he's gone when they had the second or third best record in the Western Conference. And then you look at the Memphis Grizzlies. They were playing well, too, and they got rid of their coach. It's kind of like, it's not about just wins and losses anymore. It's about, can you win us a championship? And if we think you can't, you're out of here.
All right, Haize, whose seat will be warmest heading into next season? Is it Nick Nurse in Philadelphia, or do you have someone else in mind?
I think Nick Nurse is a good candidate, but I do have someone else in mind, especially with the change going on. I don't know. We'll have to lock in with Locked On Bucks there, but it should be Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers should be hot to me. Like, that's just my personal opinion. I know Matt's shaking his head in disagreement, but I think it should be Doc Rivers. Just personally, with all the change going on there, sometimes, especially when you're trying to keep a player, you may make a change with the coach. I know they were trying to lean heavily on the relationship between Doc and Giannis to get Giannis to stay there, but my opinion, it should be Doc.
I agree. It's just not like, apparently the relationship with him and Doc, with Giannis and Doc is great. I don't understand players. Okay, that I don't understand players. I'm not supposed to understand players, but that's a thing. I think the hot seat's going to be, look, man, we've got Jenkins, Malone, Tibbs all fired in the span of a month. Doug said it. It's hard out there. Look at this list. Will Hardy, definitely on the hot seat. Willie Green, definitely on the hot seat. Whoever the Phoenix Suns, like the Suns, who'd they hire? Who'd the Suns hire?
The Suns hired Ott, yeah, Jordan Ott. Good Lord. I'm sorry, they hire someone every year. It's hard to keep up.
It's every year. Yeah,
this is my
every
point.
year.
Jordan Ott on the hot seat because he got hired by them. Jason Kidd, who knows about that situation? Doug Christie in Sacramento. I'm not saying that he's not going to be on the hot seat. Is Salo in Memphis? Yes. Kerr's fine. Finch is fine. Lou's fine. Adelman's fine. Redick better win a lot of games next season. And then in the East, like just up and down, all these. And here's one I will add to that list. Jamal Mosley. As good as he's been and as good as the Magic have been, look, I think he's been great. But I've talked to some people that think that they better get that offense fixed or there could be moves in the future. The pressure is on. Winning is not enough. Winning is just not enough. And I don't know why, but winning is not enough.
Well, is Lou a sneaky one in LA? I mean, if he makes if they make the conference finals, particularly if they make a big move for Kevin Durant, someone, and they don't get to the finals, could he be a sneaky exit?
No, because just like the perception on Ty Lue is just like he's untouchable, and like he's so well. The reason is like he's so well liked by both. Lue is great because the players both like him, and he gets along with management, and that's like a very underrated skill. Is like nobody is like that guy's really tough to get along with. There's nobody like that, so I think Lue's safe.
Yeah, Lou seems to be safe. I don't think Lou's going anywhere anytime soon, nor should he, to be 100% honest with you.
Oh, here's one more for you. What about Eric Spoelstra?
Ooh, that's spicy.
Like, look, I think he probably the most likely the way that he winds up not coaching is just he ascends, like Riley leaves and Spoelstra ascends to the gates and takes over the Heat as but that doesn't it seem more likely that Spo could wind up doing the Brad Stevens? Isn't that seem likely?
Yeah, I think so. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. Let's do a Can We Talk About session. It's an opportunity for all of us to get something off of our chest that we don't think is being talked about enough or is being talked about a lot, but also just grinds our gears. Haize, kick us off. Can we talk about?
I'm sick and tired of talking about the KD trade. Not us. Like, we haven't talked about it a lot, but like
we might talk about it tomorrow. So just
fine. But here's why I'm sick and tired of talking about it. Not because I don't think it's going to happen. It's not because it's an interesting story, because it is. But let me ask you this: when's the last time KD made one of his teams a contender?
2016.
Yeah, the Warriors. Yeah,
and that was a team that already won a title before he got there. Right. So like, and that's not to say that like if he goes to the Spurs, I think they're going to play really good basketball. They're going to go to the playoff. They're going to avoid the play and all that type of thing. But like, I think at this point, like expecting KD to make any team he goes to a contender, unless it's the Houston Rockets, because that is similar to the Golden State Warriors. I think they already are a really good team. They won over 50 games last year. Yeah, they didn't make it far in the playoffs, but I think he's exactly what they need. But I think I'm just tired of hearing so much talk around the KD thing, like it's going to completely change the tides of whatever conference he goes to. It's probably not, to be honest with you.
So you don't think if he goes to the Raptors that he's going to want that the Raptors are a contender in the East? That's not. Mine is this. I am sick and tired of NBA organizations making decisions without any sort of consideration for the people that they impact. And this is the power brokers of both the player side and the team side and the agent side. So I wrote about this on the Denver Dig. The Nuggets still don't have a president of basketball operations. They haven't elevated Ben Tenzer to GM officially yet. He's still got the interim tag. People don't know if they're going to have jobs, and we're getting late in the cycle. If you're going to let them go so they can try and find employment next year. People have families, people have lives. They need to know whether they need to register their kids for school. On the player side, I railed about this during the Anthony Davis trade. There were other guys on that roster that needed the playoff revenue for their own earnings and needed an opportunity for them to increase their chances of getting better money in free agency. And Anthony Davis's nonsense messed with their money. I'm tired of it. Have a little bit of consideration. I'm fine with you looking out for yourself. I'm fine with you putting yourself first in these conversations, but have some sort of awareness that your decisions impact other people, owners, GMs, executives, coaches, and players. Other people exist in the world beyond you.
We don't have time to talk about this, but can the NBA and ESPN remember how to put on a show? I mean, I know this has been talked about a lot, but those little dinky Larry O'Brien trophies that are digitally put on the court, that's not going to cut it. That makes me more angry, honestly, just seeing those.
Just put Clippy on the court.
Exactly. I can't take it anymore. They've got to remember that this is the NBA Finals. Put on a show. Please help us. NBA on NBC, whoever has it next season, please help us. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. We never forget how to put on a show. That's thanks to Matt and Haize with their expertise every single day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On NBA Big Board. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow has you covered for the NBA draft. Find it on YouTube wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy our beautiful game. Be kind to each other. We're going to see you right back here tomorrow with more finals talk on Locked On NBA.